Recording. Okay. Um, we are going to really try to stay in our time frame. I haven't seen um, anybody else who's supposed to be here. Everybody is already done. Um, so if we can go, what do you call this? Start with our special guest moderator, uh, and that would be Pastor Christopher Martin. If you could just give us an introduction, and first of all, I want to thank you very much for being part of this Zoom um, for our young people so they can be able to see who you are and all the information that you have passed on through history, especially in the media. So, sir, please, we're listening.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you for your time. Myself, and I'm sure all the participants that were behind this event that we're about to experience, do not take you for granted. So I want to thank you for your time, because everybody's time is important, even though we're somewhat, I guess, of a captive audience due to the COVID situation, but still yet, y'all could probably be doing some other things. My name is Christopher Martin. I hail from Queens, New York, more popularly known in the entertainment and professional field. Sometimes it's play, from that rapping acting duo Kid and Play. I've known, we're good. I've known Mama G for quite a while, and it's been a lasting relationship no matter how much time may pass in between. And I'm truly humbled, and I'm not just telling her or yourselves what I think you want to hear for this invite to participate in another one of her visions that has been brought to fruition. I am not only a performer well known for in theater, in the movies, in actual music recordings and stuff, but I've always had a passion for the arts in several mediums. And one of the things that my resources and fortune from my more popular works have brought me has afforded me to put me into a situation of being able to invest in where my heart is at and growing more in that field more and more as each day goes by. But I am looking over the agenda and the schedule and the platform for today, looking at some of the guests that will be involved now and later in the evening. I come to you as a student myself to learn from some of the many participants I see in this. So I don't look at myself as anyone better than the others. I come to learn myself and whatever I can share, because that's what it's all about. In 2 Corinthians 1 through 14, there's a part in it that speaks of you should share with others what God has brought you through. And I think that also includes what you learn. My people perish for a lack of vision. Vision is another word for knowledge. So thank you for having me here. I hope I said what I needed to say. If not, we'll get to it. But enough of me and more of you. So thank you. Mama G, it's yours.
Oh, sir, thank you very much. May we start with Brother Jelani Harris? Will you please introduce yourself, please?
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Jelani Harris. I'm an audio engineer and music producer, former law enforcement police officer. I'm married to my wife 33 years. We have 3 kids and 1 grandchild. She just started. She's 4 months old. My background, like I said, is law enforcement. I've been in music, doing music since '83. Worked with a lot of independent artists in South Carolina and Atlanta. Started a recording studio in 2006 called Quantum Beats down here. Then 2012, I broke from them, started my own group, Studio 23 Music Group, where I do a lot of mentoring with a lot of young artists, a lot of independent artists and musicians, help them out through the music. And through my background in law enforcement, I try to instill the respect of words and how the words that they put out there really affects the community, even though they might be playing around and just trying to create something just to fill in a fad for the media and everything. but it really impacts the community, especially when you have followers, because people are actually looking at them and thinking that they're doing a lot of things, but they're not actually doing it. So it's very important that the words and information that you put out there, you have to be very creative, but you got to own everything that you put out there. That's pretty much it. I've known Mama G for a few years, working with her several projects, and just enjoy working with different people. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. And we'll be back to everybody. So in your areas of expertise, may I ask Miss Sheena, please? There she is. Okay.
Hi.
Hi. We are ready for you, ma'am.
Okay, just introduction.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Sheena Giles. I was born in Florence, South Carolina, and that's where my father began his military career. I grew up traveling the world and experiencing other cultures. I really, truly had an amazing childhood. Went to 3 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, and 3 high schools, and lived outside the country twice, Panama and Italy. I attended Francis Marion University, first studying biology, and then I changed my major to English literature, as I have always had a love and passion for reading. I also studied paralegal, legal aid at Florence Darlington Technical College. And my current job field, my specialty is I'm a licensed insurance agent, licensed in life, accident, and medical insurance. Option specialist. And then my specialty is domestic violence, as I'm also a domestic violence survivor. And my last most special title is mom. I am a mom of 5 amazing kids, distance learning through a pandemic. So always keep me in your prayers. But we are thriving through this pandemic. We are not surviving, we are thriving. And so I'm excited to speak about how the media affects domestic violence, because it definitely plays a part. And Mama G is so dear to me, as she actually accompanied me, you know, through my journey as well.
Okay. Well, thank you. Sensei Panna, can you hear me? We're ready for you to unmute. Yes, sir.
Hey, I've been taking notes, and I love what Jelani said about during this time. We got to be creative, but we have to own what we put out there also. And I appreciate that. I think about that a lot. My name is Brian Penna. I tell everybody that my wife and my family calls me Brian. Most everybody else, I'm blessed, calls me Sensei. I've had a career doing martial arts going on 37 years now. COVID and everything kind of hit us sideways a little bit in the business of what we're doing. But we've been absolutely blessed that we've been able to move to having the kids back within the dojo. We're providing a stable environment for a lot of youth that would otherwise be at home making ill decisions or not being surrounded by love. I started martial arts in the early 80s. I spent probably the first third of my time owning my craft, physically learning the moves, learning how to fight, whatnot. Spent the second third of my martial arts life traveling the world. I've been fortunate. I've traveled all over the world, competing, doing seminars, meeting all sorts of wonderful people. And this last third of my journey has probably been my favorite. I'm actually in a position where I can give back. We work with children all day, work with adults, young adults. I've had a Mama G by my side for probably about the past 25 years, visiting DJJ, talking to other people about how to impact their lives through structure, discipline, and love. And martial arts is just a tool to get us there. Mm-hmm. I'm honored to be here today. I'm honored to listen to everybody, and thank y'all very much.
Thank you, sir, very much. May we have Preeti Kaur? Preeti, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Preeti Kaur. I am an intern with Mama G, and I have been for the last, I've lost count, but probably since about 2009. And I'm one of her interns. I cross-train in the Sikh martial arts, so with Youth Gatka out in Toronto, Canada, and then also with Mama G as well, learning the African martial sciences, and just sort of learning the lineage, the history, how they all connect, And as far as where I'm from, I am from Maryland, so just outside Washington, D.C. I have a background in graphic design, web development, and sort of the current evolution of that. I am a project manager, currently working as a federal contractor with the Department of Transportation here in D.C.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And may we have Albert, please, at your convenience, sir. Can you unmute? Thank you.
Right. Hello, guys. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
All right. Cool. Well, my name is Albert Bates, Albert Ray Bates Jr. I give my dad credit. I'm named after him. I was born in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I'm a military child. Grew up in Newberry, South Carolina. Graduated high school, criminal justice major. I got into law enforcement when I was 19 years old. I'm currently 32 now. So I spent my entire adult life looking at the struggle and also seeing many people come out of the struggle and prevail. My brother, other family members, friends, etc. Self-taught photographer for the last 10 years. I recently started a nonprofit during the pandemic. Over the 9 months that we've been in quarantine, the Black Project Foundation was something that I created, which started from a hashtag, just mentoring kids, because I work for the Department of Juvenile Justice. So now, from going from adult corrections to juvenile corrections at the eval center with EJJ, I spent the 4 years there, 2 years now with the police department. So as it stands, I do my best to mentor the children. I've seen a lot of success stories. As Ms. G know, we see a lot of kids end up in the news, either dead or deceased, or they end up transferring to prison. So I pretty much spend my time now focusing on my nonprofit, domestic violence, community advocate, pretty much anything I can get my hands in, help another nonprofit organization, especially domestic violence. Yeah, and mentoring, that's pretty much my gift. Motivation, inspiration, that's my gift, that's my calling. So I'm trying to stick with it.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Shelton, can you unmute, please? Thank you.
Hello, y'all. My name is Shelton Whitaker. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. Growing up, I played sports my whole life. So when I was around 18, I went to the Coastal Carolina University, played football. Went and did that for 2 years. Then I transferred from there and became a regular student. And then I attended the University of South Carolina, where I got my degree in sports management. Currently, I'm getting my master's in marketing, and I'm a photographer / videographer. And I've known Mom G probably for the past 4 or 5 years, and she's really been mentoring me, and I really appreciate that.
Okay, all right. And Augustine, sir, we are here for you.
Hello, my name's Augustine Miranda. I was born in Oahu, Hawaii, and known Mama G since 2001, 2002, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
My background is ex-military. My mom was military, so I grew up, in a military family. So we got to travel, and first thing out of college, which I studied computer animation, graphic design, was it's hard to find a job, so I'm gonna go into the military. Other than that, I just really enjoy helping people, and Mama G is a great source of that, to get out and help as many people as possible. So I try to help her help as many people as possible. So that's basically all I do, and try to enjoy life.
Okay, well, thank you. And now, with your permission, I'm going to read. Chaplain Highbauer is listening. She's not able, because of the microphone, to speak, but this is her introduction. She's my superstar. She starts off with, "Hi, I am Dr. Sherry Highbauer, and I am a clinical chaplain with the Department of Juvenile Justice. I am also the pastor of Mount Moriah AME Church, located in Newberry, South Carolina, and I have worked with Mama G for many years. She is a mentor, and I'm trying to a mentor, blessing, and a teacher. So I want to thank her for the kind comments. And now we're going to get into the meat of this Zoom. With Sheena's permission, or Pastor Martin, is there somebody you would prefer to start with? Because you do have, or do you want me to kind of select somebody first to start with their presentation? That's your call, sir.
Well, let's do this. First of all, for the sake of comfortability, also on my part,
Yes,
everybody just call me Christopher. I think Mama G is putting a prophetic thing on me there, because I haven't done what people do to be a pastor, but I am a believer in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But what I will do, for the sake of being a gentleman and exercising some degree of, it escapes me, and I usually say it so much. Well, being a gentleman, I want to do. I would like to start with ladies first. So let's do that. I try to practice. What is that word? I usually use it all the time when it's appropriate. But anyway, yeah, let's do ladies first.
Okay, great. Sheena, can you give us, as they say, the background in regard to the media and domestic violence, especially now?
Okay, certainly. And I wonder if your word was chivalry.
Yes, it was, and I remembered it right after I passed it on. I was like, man. So I blew that situation right there. Trying to impress, that's what I get.
It's okay. Okay, so for me, domestic violence currently with media. So I do have some statistics, of course. You know, that's my, it's my field as a survivor. So yes, we are in a pandemic. So of course, statistics are higher. We're all home together in a stressful situation, which just magnifies statistics that were already just very heartbreaking, because domestic violence affects the whole family. So research from the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence states in the US, an average of 20 people experience intimate partner physical violence every minute, every 60 seconds. This equals more than 10 million abuse victims a year. On a typical day, domestic violence hotlines nationwide receive over 20,000 calls. Intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crime. 19% of intimate partner violence involves a weapon. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 59 men are raped during his or her lifetime. 19.3 million and 5.1 million men have been stalked. Now let's see. Okay, so how many times have you heard, I have stalker tendencies? So in my opinion, the media glorifies or magnifies toxicity. And in these times, that's the last thing that we need. In a high stress situation, finances are tight, money's tight, people are stressed out, people are anxious, and these numbers were already high. And now, but what are we listening to? What do we see? Well, on the media and TV, we see our men beaten. I have sons. I'm a mom of 5. I have 2 daughters and 3 sons. How am I supposed to watch the media and watch my fellow brothers, murdered and beaten, and not be affected?
If you don't mind me asking, what are the ages of your children?
Mason just turned 10, Gregory is 6, and Gabriel is 4.
So,
Handful.
Yes.
Does anybody else have a question for Sheena about this? She is a survivor She
And I'm
is,
a textbook survivor too. You know, you hear domestic violence, we women go back and forth and back and forth. And what's wrong with them? They go back and forth. I was that. Literally went back and forth for 7 years. Took breaks in between. We took a couple years off, 1 year off here, 2 years off there, hoping that he would get the counseling and therapy and I could keep my family together. But it doesn't work that way. So I'm a textbook, domestic violence survivor. But I did leave, and that was 2016. And here we are, 2021.
okay, Albert, you had your,
Yes. So I had the pleasure of working with Tina Torres. We did a domestic violence gala here that I helped sponsor. So my question with a lot of women who go through domestic violence is, what was the final straw? Because we all have that breaking moment, and with a lot of people, and I tell people all the time, because with social media, people put the business on social media, and I always say that the toxicity of it, that's how a lot of our women end up dead. And it's, quadruple homicide, and everybody's, that's the ultimate act. So what was the final straw for you? Because textbook, I feel like that's tactful. You couldn't just pick up and run, because we know how that goes when it comes down to children and pride. So what was the final straw to take you to that point?
I'm happy that you asked that. The final point for me, and mind you, I don't come from a bad family. I was a military brat. My family has money. My parents have helped me leave a few times. I've gone back. So I had all the support, but I still went back. The final draw for me was going back after each excuse that he gave me, and I addressed, oh, I feel this way because I didn't get to be in my children's lives. So I might get back with them and he gets to be in his children's lives. Well, he's still like this. Or, oh, it's because of this. And I should not have given that many chances, because some women don't survive that. That's a dangerous game to play. Oh, let me address all of the reasons that he says that he's like this. Dangerous game to play. I do not advise playing Russian roulette with your life. By the grace of God, I'm still here. There's a calling on my life, and there's a purpose on my life. And I'm definitely built. But here, by the grace of God, don't play that game, ladies. But the final straw for me was after I answered all those questions, and I still was lost. We still had nothing, to the point of homelessness, because once everybody writes you off and then you don't have nothing, and he can't work because he's so busy worried about what you're doing. So y'all not making any money. Like it can be a downward spiral. Even those that might have money, my spiral was a downward spiral. But finally, for me, when we didn't have anything and the resources were there for me to get away and have help and be able to do it on my own, I took it. I moved to Columbia, and Columbia had family shelter. Family shelter, you can move in. You don't have to have anything, bro. They will take you and your kids. You can stay there. You can pay your rent with EBT. Like I got close enough, and I was in Florence, but I got close enough to somewhere that had resources for me to be able to leave and not depend on family or anybody else, to just look up to the hills where my help came from and go. And I took it.
So Shana, what would be the one, or does anyone have a view, because we're coming to the end of our first presentation, how is the media affecting? Do we have enough information out there about domestic violence? Can we have a census? How many people say yes, that there's enough information? How many people say no?
I say no.
How many commercials do you see?
How many commercials? There are no commercials, so this might be something.
Yeah. In law enforcement, that was our number one call.
Yeah.
I policed in Atlanta and I policed here. And number one call is always domestic violence. And a lot of times we don't put the, how can I put it, the feeling, a lot of people say, I've been domestically violent, my such and such. But in the media and stuff, they don't really put a lot of the impact of how it affects not just the person, the family, everybody around them. And the thing that always amazed me was when I was in law enforcement, how some people, even some women and men will just play around with it. My husband made me mad, so I'm gonna call the police on him. So we come up there, had to handle the situation. Next thing you know, we had to wind up locking up the person who called the female because I was just playing and all of that. And a lot of people play around with it too much. Then next thing you know, you get to court, the guy talks all sweet to them or whatever, then you're back in the same situation, and it's an ongoing situation. So a lot more definitely needs to be done with it.
Sensei Panna, Marshall, can you jump in with this?
I'm sorry to try, and I don't know that this has much to do with martial arts, but just as a parent, I heard Sheena earlier, and it's funny. I drive my truck around. I got 2 young daughters, and I'm constantly listening to serious music. I'm jamming from this station to that station, and stuff that I've often taken for granted, but all of a sudden my ear will start catching some of the lyrics that are coming out of these songs that I've been listening to all my life that maybe I'll just get into because of the beat. And all of a sudden I got a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old that are listening to this stuff, and they're glorifying this negative energy, whether it's domestic, whether it's sexually related, whether it's whatever. And I don't want my girls' ears anywhere around that stuff. And maybe I'm taking it to an extreme now because I've never really thought about it. But now as a parent, absolutely not. My girls, they do good in school. They got a good head on their shoulders. But all it takes is that itty bitty little bit of negative influence being glorified by the radio, the TV. God bless the internet, man. I don't allow them to have social media because I'm terrified. I work with hundreds of kids every day. So Sheena, I was nitpicking different things that you were saying, and I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree.
Can you
question.
Jump in with,
Sheena, I have a question. What would, I won't ask you your age now, but what would the Sheena today advise the Sheena who is just getting ready to enter into that relationship that was bad? What would be the advice the future Sheena would say to the present Sheena then? What advice?
Certainly. And I'm proud of my age. I'm 36, y'all. I would tell her to be wise in all observations, all relationships, all friendships, all interactions. We can read them if we're paying attention. And we have to stop excusing behaviors and hoping for the best and hoping that people have this growth and this change that might come about them. If they are not already changed, leave it where it is. You cannot build a foundation on brokenness. And that's any friendship. If you have girlfriends out here and they're toxic, they girl this, girl that, they don't want to work, they don't want to do for themselves, that friend's not a good friend for you. Don't make that friend. We have to stop building on brokenness. And so I would advise her, hey, look, sis, look at him. He's already, a little self-conscious. He's already intimidated by your strength. This might not be the best thing for you. Perhaps you guys should just be friends and see how it is. Because if I would have stayed his friend, I would have seen his true colors, but well before I got into all of this.
That was going to be my follow-up. I'm sorry. That was going to be my follow-up question. Right. What was that first red flag looking back at it in reflection? Was there a red flag? It's
the controlling. When people don't want you to talk, like if people don't feel comfortable, I'm a social butterfly. If people don't want you talking to people and they're like intimidated, like this that I'm doing today, I guess somebody could be jealous that, I have a platform or that I have a story or that, I can connect. No, that jealousy and that controllingness, red flag number 1. A person that loves you should want you to be free to be you.
Okay, I want to get now, Augustine, if you can unmute, please. I'm coming to you because your topic is military and veteran, and I see we have a lot of military. I'm not gonna call them brats, okay? Military family members, okay? Here you have maybe a family and they're military, and this individual comes back from a war zone type thing. Does that maybe increase domestic violence? Can that ever be cured? What can you talk to us about that, the concept of veteran?
Well, when it comes down to veterans coming back from warfare or anything, and considering if they have PTSD and stuff like that, which more or less they do, yeah, it actually can, because you have a person who either they're going to try to go and get the help they need, which most don't, or they're going to try to self-medicate by alcohol, drugs, or whatever. So of course their family is going to start pestering them and getting on their nerves or whatever. And then you have to worry about them having flashbacks or something like that, where they could be asleep or something, and you go and try to wake them up, and they wake up swinging. So there's,
Now, right there, my question is, does the media enhance this or does it reduce it, in your opinion, with the media?
The media doesn't even show that part of the military. The media just, the only thing the media shows really is, okay, you join the military, you get to drive a tank and fly a plane. They try to make it look as cool as possible, but that's not what the military life is about.
Okay.
Can I
So-
step in?
People on, it's actually a job.
Mama G, may I step in and say something?
Jelani, yes, sir.
I'm part of a unique circumstance because I was born, like you all, several of you are born and raised in the military. My stepfather did 27 years. My dad did 20 years. So make a long story short, my whole life I raised in the military. And I'm one of the people who mom and dad got divorced while I was in the Army. And my mom wound up marrying my dad's best friend who was in the military. And one of the issues about the media was, because when growing up, I didn't have a relationship with my stepfather at all. But I didn't understand his point of view until after I got grown. And the whole thing about the media, movies, TV, and everything, they always tell these men that to be a man, to be a soldier, you cannot put your pain out there. You know, you never ask to be sorry. You never ask for forgiveness. You just do it, suck it up, and all of that. And that, even through law enforcement, that's why a lot of people have so much domestic violence and everything, because we were never taught to speak up. And in the movies and the TVs, the soldiers, you know, you got to be all macho and everything. Something goes on your wife, you can't be like, oh, baby, you know, I'm going through this and all of that. They never show that.
All right,
And-
Preeti,
Well, they
we
teach
want to
you that
reach
from
out to
basic.
you on this. Here you work with a lot of international people. You've done a lot of media stuff. How does, as far as you know, the media works with the military from the United States? Is it different from other countries? How does that all fall together?
Well, as far as the military, the way it's sort of run in the US versus how it's run in other countries, it's very different in that something like here in the US, we have like at a high school level, you have like the JROTC programs, which was like something that I did. So like in my case, in high school, I did the JROTC program, which preps you kind of to go into the military, to have the military career, and to decide, like, do you want to go enlist or do you want like a chance to go to one of the military academies? And it gives you sort of that like little boost that you need in order to get into the military academies when you may otherwise not be easily able to get into it. Since the JROTC programs here, they always have at least 2 slots minimum per service academy to send their students. And so they have that. And then at the college level, you also have like the ROTC program, where it's the first 2 years is sort of like, kind of like what I would call like maybe a trial basis. And then anything after that is the, you kind of, the amount of years that you're in the ROTC program is how many years you kind of have to give back to the military themselves, to whichever branch you're a part of, versus something like something I've seen maybe like from, for instance, India. I've actually had the opportunity to actually check out their National Defense Academy, which is their version of like sort of our Naval Academy or our West Point, which is where they get their students ready to have military careers. And so that's something like I've noticed like the difference in that they don't have it sort of at the high school level. They have it more so starting with like the college level or adult level. So it's definitely a lot different. And a lot of times, most of the people I know within India, a lot of people go into the military only because they've had somebody in their family who was in the military. So it's like a generational thing.
Now I'm going to praise your family a little bit, because your grandfather is from that time of the military back in the day. Am I correct?
That would be my great grandfather. So my
great grandfather,
my grandfather's grandfather.
Right. So I want to lean over a little bit to Shelton. Have you ever thought of going, and you're a photographer, have you ever thought about going in the military? Has it ever crossed your mind? Listening to all this, has the media ever just grabbed you by your heartstrings and said, come in the media, come in the military?
Honestly, I really never thought about going to the military. I'll say one time I kind of thought about maybe potentially joining the Air Force. Maybe I was kind of thinking about it because one of my friends was going into it and he was telling me about all the benefits and everything. So I was somewhat thinking about it, but that didn't really last too long. But
what would happen if you were, we used to have back in the day, and there was a war and they said you had to go. Would you go as a war correspondent, or would you be I'm not going, period? Think of the time when Christopher had the movies, all those movies back then. Would you go or not go? The movie I grew up on, and would you go?
I might have to pull the Muhammad Ali approach. I don't know. I might not. I don't know.
Just as long as it's not bone spurs.
Okay.
I wouldn't say about what
what is yours on that? Should we be objectors now, or should we fight for our country? How's the media doing this for us now?
You know, it's so interesting. When I was younger, and I bought into, for lack of a better way of putting it, in regards to serving your country, what it's supposed to mean, which I think is great on paper. But then as I began to grow and become more curious about the truth with things, there was a movie that kind of brought my attention to some of the realism, if not all of it, with war. There was a Tom Cruise movie called Born on the 4th of July. And then you got another movie with, Chris Tucker and my friend Tate, in regards to just some of the truths of war. So I think it has a lot to do with our culture, your ethnic group. Because one of the things that broke my heart as I learned more and got more serious about it is how we as Black people or minorities would go in, and pretty much the first to go in and put in work. But then to make it and survive and to come home and to be treated the way we would be treated, was kind of startling to learn and find out. So I don't really have a full answer for that particular question, because there's, I have a degree of ambivalence in regards to my feelings about it, in regards to the truth and what it's supposed to be. And for those who have done it and have endured and made it, I find it fascinating to hear, their experience and their journey and their testimony in it. But from a perspective of a news person or a media person, that's something that would probably get my interest once I really got into that, to be able to capture that. But you are putting your life on the line, and what are you really putting your life on the line for? So I hope I'm not offending anybody with that answer, but that's just my thing,
Okay, Sensei Panna, martial sciences, martial arts. Have you ever thought of going in the military with all the fighting that you've done? All the fighting. Combat.
Ironically, I just made a note here on my paper that I'm listening to everybody. I love taking notes. The biggest regret that I have in my life, without a shadow of a doubt, is that I didn't join the military and I wasn't part of law enforcement. And I'm so honored right now at my age and my place where I'm at in life that I can give back to those two branches that serve our community so much. If I could go back earlier, Christopher was asking Sheena, the Sheena of now versus, if I'd have known what I know now about life I'm first generation American. My father was from Spain. My mother was from Argentina. They came to this country with a suitcase and about $20 in their pocket. If I know now what they went through to fight to be in this country that we're in, without a shadow of a doubt, enlist me in the Army, Navy, I don't care. I'd love to have given 4, 6, 8 years of my life to this country. I very firmly believe that's my biggest regret.
Albert, military, what military branch were you in?
I still serve. I actually left that out. I would have joined when I was 18. My dad did 30 years in the military. So when it was my turn, of course, you had 9/11. And coming out of high school, you already had the war. My spouse was like, no. So I was like, all right. I had my son, at 20, and then my daughter came. So it was out of my mind, but I missed the camaraderie of it. I didn't join a fraternity. I did join the Boy Scouts when I was a kid, but I've been in since 2016. And it was the media for me. Before I left to go to basic training, I had about 8 months to prepare. And for those 8 months, all I saw was military movies and commercials, and I saw all the technology. I mean, I saw a lot that pushed you towards joining, but again, you don't see the negative sides of it. But from a movie standpoint, PTSD is normally prevalent in most of the movies, shell shock. It's normally prevalent, but the media pushed me towards it based on the technology and the opportunities. And then having my dad being in the military as well, and most of my family, it was really a no-brainer. So when she gave me the blessing, it's like, yes, I guess you heard the word benefits and he made it sound good. She gave me the blessing. So I'm glad I did. I wish I had done it earlier. But you can't really change the past. You can just focus on the future. So
Okay, Shelton, you said that you would probably not. Did I hear you correctly? Okay.
Hear me correctly.
If you had, when you have children, okay, and here with the media now, see, we are doing all of this. This is as close as we're for the, what, I think they said it's going to be another 10 years before things kind of get back to normal of people having gatherings. That was the last thing I heard on the media, 10 years. So in the process with your children, one of them says, okay, I want to go in the Air Force, the Army, and they've been watching all these older movies. Okay. What are you going to tell them?
I'm just going to tell them to, just really think about it before you commit. But if that's what you want to do, I can't stop you. But, just really just take a look, make sure, talk to some people that have been in the military, so you can really see how it is. And if that's your decision, then I support you.
Now, Augustine, what are you going to tell his child? What will you tell his child about the military? You've been there.
Yes, it's a great decision when it comes to, having a career, getting your education, and trying to build a life. But I would definitely tell them, it has its ups and it has its downs.
Yeah,
it's better to look at both sides of the situation and make your decision on that based off of, hey, I know what could possibly happen. What's the bad things that could possibly come from it? And like what Pretty was saying earlier, like with the ROTC and the JROTC, they're actually letting kids in high school go to basic training during the summer, during their summer vacations. And then when the school starts, they go back to school. So they're targeting kids even younger at an earlier point too, before they even get to college. So now you have a situation where you have 18-year-old kids fresh out of high school having to grow up immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a situation to where it's better to do as much research as possible, find out the good, find out the bad, and if you still want to join and you want to risk whatever, try to find a job that you're not risking anything.
Okay. Christopher, gaming in the media. This is for everybody. Gaming. That's the new battlefield, the new virtual things where young people are, what is your opinion? We didn't, I mean, 30 years ago, there wasn't gaming. Now there's gaming. Please touch on that so we can talk about how the media pushes that.
Well, to go back a little bit before I answer that, you were asking the question of two of the panelists, maybe three, what would they tell their kids or feel about their kids going into it? And my advice to them kind of lends to the question for this question, I mean, to the answer to this questions you have, is that I hear a lot of us are videographers, cinematographers, photographers. We know something called editing, you know, and as you're watching a lot of these things, the movies I refer to, and there's many others, that find out what was edited out, find out what the truth is. So now going to the question that you asked now, what I fear or concerned about is the fact that, you know, going to war and going to anything, you know, a lot of these video games, because I'm not into video games, I never have been, but I do watch my friends that are into it. And the thing I do like about it is the graphics and how realism some of the characters and stuff is. But the thing is that it's not a game. It's not a game. And, you know, one of the things, as I'm hearing some of the people speak about this, is that it's a mentality thing. Are you ready to go to war? Why are you going to war? You know, what's the motive behind it? It has to be some kind of a culture, not a culture shock, some kind of a shock that, God forbid, you find yourself in a position where you have to fight for your life and kill someone, to pull a trigger and hear the sound of, for the first time, of a gunshot, or hear explosions, or whatever the case may be. So when you're playing video games, you know, you have all of that in it. It's entertaining. You have, whether you're conscious of it or not, you know, when you get through with this game, you're going to get up and enjoy something to eat or go do something. That's not the case in real war or things that are life-threatening in your life. And I think that's the problem with America in the world period, is that we're junkies on entertainment. I'm just going to tell it, you know, what I feel that it really is. And there's a lot of serious stuff out there that's like, it's serious, you know. So with all that being said is that maybe playing games or getting acclimated to some degree in regards to some knowledge of what lies ahead, if you're really going to get in that in real life. But a game is a game, you know, and that's my thoughts, you know.
So Jelani, all right, movies, here we go. We have these little short video things now. They're like short movies or series. Everything's a series now. You have to keep coming back to watch it. Do people come to you with what they've seen in the media and want to do the same thing, reproduce it, entertainment? Is this what they do?
Yes, especially doing music and working with a lot of film people. A lot of people, especially recording a lot of independent artists, they'll see something in the media and they just want to jump on the fad and just say, I want to be this and I want to do that. So one of the questions I always ask every artist I work with is like, why do you do music? And then the other question is, what do you plan on doing with it? Because if a person comes to me, I just want to be the next superstar, this and all of that and everything, that's already got my mind thinking, okay, this person is, you know, yes, you want to be that superstar, but they don't understand what comes with it. But if a person comes to me, say, well, it's a part of me. If I live music, when I'm depressed, I'm using music and all of that, music is a part of my life, then I can understand and have a serious conversation with them. Because the reason why I asked that question is like, this is one of the most, and Christopher, you know way better than I do, this is one of the most corrupted business out there. And a lot of people get into this game in the media because they see the excitement and all of that, but they don't understand how many friends you lose behind it, how much work it costs, how people are automatically going to hate on you. And if you're not into this media thing because of love and the passion that you have for it, as soon as somebody comes at you the wrong way, you start questioning, am I good enough? Am I this? Am I that? But this person made, I'm better than them. Then a lot of people get in depression and they just get out of it because they have a false sense of what they're trying to do.
Okay.
So Shelton,
Now I'm going to tell everybody you play classical music and your instrument is
The violin.
the violin. Of all instruments, a violin. Do you have a passion for your violin? Does the media uplift classical instruments? Are we into our classical music anymore? Or is it kind of going?
I was peeping the drums behind him. I thought that's what we were gonna get into.
Oh, I play a couple different instruments, but my main instrument is violin. But I've been seeing the media. Sometimes they'll like post like people playing the violin, like doing like, you know, like hip hop violin. I've seen like, I think it was two black brothers and they were doing it. I've seen it a little bit, but I really don't see people playing the violin often. Not really, not too much.
Will you ever give it up?
Violin?
Yeah.
Nah, that's with me for life. I've been playing since I was 3. I think music will always be a part of me. It's something that, you know, when I'm sad or when I'm down, I focus on it and it's like I'm in a whole nother world because, you know, I'm focusing on what I love to do. So
you and the violin can be together. So this is what I'm going to do. Sensei Penna, do you need another person to do martial arts? Are we stuck with this virtual? Will we ever learn martial arts again can you be by yourself?
I want to go back to the violin. I think it's so awesome that Shelton plays the violin.
Mm-hmm.
Stereotyping, I would have never guessed that in a million years. I admire that. Good for you.
I appreciate that.
Too. He's very good. Mm-hmm.
I love the violin. I want to go for 2 seconds. I don't remember who was talking about the video games, got started on the video games, and a whole different perspective for me, and I might be the odd one out. I work with children all day long. It's what I've chosen to do with my life. I hate video games. I grew up playing Atari. I understand the video game thing, but all of a sudden, we're developing a culture of kids that are really good with their thumbs, and they have no social skills whatsoever.
Exactly.
And it drives me crazy. And when I go to hire, I'm hiring some teenagers to work for me. And when I have a kid that can look at me in the eyes and talk to me, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to want to hire that person. I'm going to want to be around that person. The ones that are stuck doing this, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, are living in some sort of fantasy land that's going to continue on into their life. And I think about that in martial arts. And when Mama G reached out to me to be a part of this thing, I was to talk a little bit about martial arts. You look back at all the Bruce Lee movies in the 60s and the 70s. You look back at all the Chuck Norris movies in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And by the way, I've met Chuck Norris a handful of times, and what a fabulous human being he is. But karate and martial arts for the longest time was portrayed as violence on TV, kicking and punching and fighting. We try, and I believe in my heart, we teach these kids to fight. It's what we do, but in the ultimate aim that they're never going to have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Use your mouth, how to talk to people, how to look at somebody in the eyes, learn how to say a kind word. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. It doesn't matter what religion you believe in. Kindness and love and smiles transcends all of that. And I'm really big into politics. I am an armchair quarterback politician. I love to watch the news, but I'll switch back and forth from CNN to Fox. You know, CNN, if you watch CNN all day long, the conservatives are evil. If you watch Fox all day long, the liberals are evil. And furthermore, talking about social media, and it drives me crazy. You get on social media, and some of the friends I have on there, I don't know whether I want to unfriend them or just ignore them, but they put these memes, some of them bastardizing Biden and Harris, some of them bastardizing Trump and all of his people. Social media plays such a part in wiring people's heads, I think, the wrong way. And we need more love, and we need more compassion, and we need more talking and looking at each other. Karate is so much more than kicking and punching. When I was younger, I could kick and punch with the best of them. And I can still kick and punch pretty decent, but I would rather talk my way out of a situation all day long than get in a fight with somebody and then go have to pay a dentist on Monday morning to replace their teeth.
Right.
If we could learn to talk to people, if we could learn to, everybody's got different opinions in life, that we could just all come together and look at each other in the eyes. That's what it's all about to me. That's what martial arts at this point in my journey, That's what it's all about.
Hey,
Albert.
Sensei, have you, I'm sorry, Mama
Go ahead.
G. Have you had, and the rest of the panel had a chance to see a very strong piece that, you know, alludes somewhat to what, not alludes, but it's on point to what you were saying about social media, the social dilemma. Have you seen that yet?
Yes, the
I haven't
sheriff's
seen
wife.
that.
The sheriff's wife
Highly
got me
recommended.
onto it
Highly
about 6 months ago, and it is incredible. It'll blow your mind if you haven't watched it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, yeah, much love and respect to what everyone has said. And Shelton, I don't know if you will remember some time ago, Rockefeller, aka Dame Dash, was very diligently and in prominent situations had a violinist. She was like, you know, part of that whole Rockefeller camp, and she did some live performance. I think she performed with Kanye a couple of times, but it was
I think I know who you're talking about.
yeah, he
Yes,
was
sir.
trying to push, and she was incredible. But like you said, with hip hop, it just didn't take. But you just never know. It might have just been the timing. You know what I'm saying? But I know hearing what you're saying and the way I relate what I do cinematography, it sounds like
Yes,
your
sir.
relationship with the violin is very therapeutic. You know.
Yes, sir. It
Mhm.
is. Yes,
Well,
sir.
yeah.
It really is. Well, classical
Albert.
music in itself is
Oh, I'm sorry. Albert,
no.
are you there?
I was
Okay. Now you have the Albert, the young people in DJJ, and it is now the thing they have to re-enter society. Re-entry. That's a big thing. How do we, like we have the veterans who are coming back from war. Now you have these young people, Albert, you've got to get them back into a society where there are no more hugs. People have to stay away. People are wearing masks. Is it going to be possible, considering all they're watching is the stuff on the media?
I would say that it is possible. We have a lot of juveniles that come through in the reentry programs they do have. We see them, they go to Benedict, Millens Tech, they do learn trades behind the wall. Now, from the police side, leaving corrections, I still have a hands-on relationship with a lot of them. The biggest thing for me is the social media and the music from a media standpoint. We can give them as much as we can. And it hurts because I can see a kid, I watched 13-year-olds grow up to 17, and in 8 months of being released, they get murdered or they commit a murder. But the media plays a very, very strong. A lot of these kids are talented lyricists, and but the positive side of the being lyrical, that is what we lack. And with a lot of our juveniles that get out, it's very difficult to let that animalistic behavior go. And even if they try, it's the circumstances that they go back into. But there are a lot of success stories. I'm very proud of a lot of juveniles over the last 4 years. I visited the Marine Institute, Camp Gigahoo, and a lot of those kids remember me and they say, "Hey, Officer Bates, you know, or you a sergeant now, or you the police now?" I'm like, "Yeah." And well, I go home next week, or I go home next month. It is so rewarding to hear kids say that. And he was a butthole at 14 years old, and to see him at 17, he's ready to go home. He's excited about it. And I tell him, I say, well, it's all words until you show me. You know, it's all words until you show me. So I promote military to a lot of our juveniles. But it is possible for a lot of them, and many of them do go to college, and many of them do succeed.
Absolutely. Now, this thing with this reface thing, I just have to bring this up. How people are refacing their images on this graphic thing. Pretty. Okay, why are we doing this? Why? And then after Pretty, Christopher, can you please, why have we gotten into wanting to be other than who we are? Women of color, we are spending close to $350 billion a year on hair, eyelashes. Okay, I said it. But we want to be and the more we have access of the media, we can do that. And that's not who we are. We can see this. Preeti, why is this so huge? And then Christopher, sir, can you please, because you are in this field. Go ahead.
I was going to say, from what I've seen, and like also just working with one of my friends who is also a graphic designer slash makeup artist slash photographer, one of the things I've seen like with her and like sort of like a like quick story is like something from like this weekend where it's the we'll be out, and one thing I noticed with her is she's always got her phone out, and she's sort of part of the younger generation that is very different. They're more into social media than say sort of a little bit of the older generation, a little bit of like the older millennials, so to say, sort of my like myself. I'm kind of tagged into the millennial generation, even though I don't feel like I'm a millennial, just because I kind of grew up in that environment of I didn't have social media. I didn't have technology, like a lot of technology, like cell phones and things like that, until probably I got into college. It wasn't the norm, you know, to have like a smartphone, to have a tablet. So all of that stuff. It was for me, it was like learning the internet when it was in its like sort of infancy stage of back in the day when you had dial-up, and you could only get on after like 9 or 10 o'clock at night because you had one phone line, and if you went on the net, you would tie up the phone line, kind of thing. But as far as that goes, like I think it's a lot also has to do with sort of this new thing that's come out is like the influencer culture last couple of years. It's this whole thing of looking at the influencers, and you have all of these new people coming up, whether they be like YouTube stars, Instagram, TikTok is another big one nowadays. And it's just sort of that culture, and you're like the younger generation is starting to see a lot of that because they're always on social media. Like they're always looking at what's the next like big thing on TikTok, what's the next thing on YouTube, what's the next thing on Instagram, and they're following all of these people. And that's sort of, in like my mind, sort of creating that culture for, okay, this is what we should look like. And they're going, you know, like they're promoting that kind of culture. And so promoting certain types of looks and aesthetics, that kind of thing. And it also goes into looking at social media itself, Instagram, Facebook, filters.
Okay.
It's
All right.
that's how they alter appearance.
Right. So, Christopher, can you imagine now having all of these young people trying to, they are identified. I think I saw something where they are taking the phones and putting them inside of glass cases or something and locking them in order to keep the young people away from the phone. Are we in trouble with that? Or have we just reached this point with TikTok and Instagram? And if you try to take it from them, it's like detoxing from drugs, sir?
The creators behind the technology of that exposed a part of our nature, because that's one of the biggest things that's helping me over the last year or two, is to pay attention to human nature. It helped me a great deal to be able to deal with people, not take things so personal. But with the phone itself, that piece of technology has exposed and awakened a part of our nature that's not so attractive, even though it highlights supposedly attractiveness. And we're dealing with insecurities, we're dealing with narcissism. It's like, it's getting to a point, I brought it up to a couple of people before, that it was like, wow, you know, eyebrows raised, is that why are we calling this a phone anymore? The very thing that it's supposed to be about, which is the convenience of communication with others, has more features on it, and the advancement of those features, the innovation of it, more than enhancing the ability of a phone itself. So filters, games, apps, all of that. But I'm not hearing in the last few years how the phone feature can be improved or innovation in that. So basically we have a camera that just happens to have a phone in it. where before it was a phone that
Mhm.
just happens to have a camera in it. And when you're looking at, combine that with the phrase we haven't heard in a while, your 15 minutes of fame, you know, now it's time for everyone to be a celebrity or think they're a celebrity. I heard somebody the other day say there's a difference between a celebrity and an actor. A celebrity and I forgot what the other word was for it, but the celebrity is more popular. But with the other name that they use, it was really about being that craft. So it's scary. It's sad. As many green rooms as I have been in, and been in the past, long gone are the days where you're in the green room or any kind of social gathering, as I'm sure you all know, you walk in there and everybody's head is buried in their phones or in their mobile device. And the very thing that was supposed to bring us together, or that was the pitch, is the very thing that has separated us. And I think it's sad and it's scary, and it seems to be only getting worse. And what Sensei was talking about is the fact that with this phone and other devices, young people and even adults too have lost a sense of being able to be able to communicate. Their whole social, dealing with being social with people, is pretty much gone. They can't look up because they're so used to looking down and being in that control of what they do on that phone. When they have to deal with another human being, that's very foreign to them, and that's scary. And I do the same thing, since it's like that's who I'll hire, is the person. And if I feel a certain connection with that person for whatever reason, I will give them advice saying, listen, when you shake someone's hand, look them in the eye. Let them be the one to release your hand first before you release your hand. Look them in the eye. So that's my witness.
Okay. Now, as we're winding down, we're going to go around like with the introductions before. I know we have like tons of great thoughts. I want to start with Sheena. And if you can give us a closing thought that you have, and then Preeti, then Augustine, you have like this minute and a half thing, because I want our young people, I want our community members to know that y'all are the ones, what we say, on down on the ground, making it happen. So Sheena, I'd like to start with you. Your one concept, media and domestic violence, that you would love to say to somebody or say to the world. And then we're just going to keep going around, and by then we'll reach our 3:30. We're ready, ma'am.
Okay, one concept, so hard, but I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
My one concept, the media has made toxic relationships and toxicity itself socially acceptable and almost commendable, quote unquote, if you're loyal. Our ride or die mentality has got to stop, and we have to, the media is not going to change, so we need to stream what we're listening to.
Okay. All right.
And what we're watching.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Did anybody else have a quick comment on that? I think that was very good. Anybody?
Bullseye.
Bullseye. Okay. Preeti, graphic design, your thought with the media.
Design and media, use design as a tool. I have seen in certain instances where design is being used as a tool to like do outreach over media, because with graphic design, it's media now plays a huge part of that. Just as a graphic designer, you can't really live without social media to get your work out there, and that's another way to be seen, and it's a way to get the information out there. So it's use it as a tool for doing good rather than using it as a tool to just be the tool for change rather than just having it there.
Okay, excellent. Augustine, your closing wisdom. Veterans, media, your closing wisdom.
I would just hope they get to a point where they actually explain both sides to a person trying to join, where they actually tell them this is, you know, A, B, and C before you come in here. That way you have that choice. It's not like you join in and bam, you're, you know, running down the street with a gun in your hand kind of thing. Give them the knowledge to make the right decision from what they want in life. That way it's not surprising. They know what to expect.
Good point. Good point. Sensei Panna, your closing wisdom, Marshall, or what, how you want to bring this forward in regard to the media.
I think I'd love to close with this and people to remember. I get really irritated and frustrated on Facebook. I'm on Facebook through my business a lot, and everybody's constantly has advice that they're giving or sermons, or they're standing on their and telling everybody what we need to do. The older I get, I've really gotten into poetry, and there's a poem, Sermons We See by Edgar Guest, and the final line in it is, I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. I think instead of so many people in the world talking about what we need to do, I think most of us, especially the ones here today, we know how we can affect lives, and especially with the youth as they're growing up. Instead of talking so much, let's live it. Let's let those people see that come out of us and how we interact. I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. Let's be examples.
Awesome. Awesome. Shelton, your closing wisdom.
Well, this as far as the media, you know, it's a lot of stuff going on with it, a lot of propaganda, a lot of stuff. You know, sometimes, you know, it's okay to just step back from all that, you know, put your phones down, like some people have said on here, and actually, you know, connect with another human instead of connecting with them virtually. So, you know, that's about it.
Okay. Albert, your closing wisdom, sir.
Closing wisdom would definitely be, especially dealing with the youth. Eye contact is very important to me. That's one thing I teach my 11. Listen to what I'm saying, and we break that contact. It's just a mutual respect. I love my juveniles. I'm big on them because a lot of them don't have father figures. So they always say I preach a lot, and I tell them, I said, if I didn't love you, if I didn't care, you wouldn't be speaking to me right now. You know, I know I'm gonna go above and beyond for my juveniles and any juvenile that I come across. As far as you want to see a sermon rather than hear it, I do a lot of motivational speaking. I do a lot of inspirational stuff. But that's why I started a nonprofit. That's why I got into the nonprofit sector, because seeing is believing. Some people say when you do good deeds, you don't broadcast it. But for me, I feel like if I'm driving down the road and the person in front of me swerves to the left, what do you normally do? You swerve with them, right? When they go back right, you go back with them. So for me, seeing is believing. When you see it, it creates change. So for me, it's all about action, actually apply it. And for me, from a nonprofit side, it's plenty of people who want to volunteer, plenty of kids who want to clean up the side of the road or learn a skill or learn a trade, learn how to use a tool for that matter. There's plenty of people like yourself with an abundance of people who respect you and love you and honor you. And for all of them to give their light to you, that's amazing. So seeing is believing. And that's what I got for you. Look people in the eyes, have a plan, have action, apply the action, and you never know what village will come behind you.
Awesome. Brother Jelani, your closing wisdom.
My closing wisdom, like I always tell people and young people I mentor, is number one, don't make excuses, make a way, because you're going to excuse yourself out of being successful. And I keep thinking about one movie that really, this key phrase that's, I think is in A Wolf of Wall Street, that they said they had this little scene where they were trying to do something, but one of the guys made a statement says, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. The point is that most people believe that it's true. And that's our problem with the media today. It doesn't matter if something is right or wrong or something like that, because ethics is out the window with a lot of stuff these days. But if enough people believe that it's right or wrong, then it's right.
Okay.
And then, okay.
All right, now very quickly, I'd like to read the closing remark of Chaplain Highbauer because I want to introduce her properly. One of the things that she has on here, there is not enough information and resources. So we need more resources, and she is a product of the civil rights era. So maybe where there were resources back then, we need to get back to that because there just aren't enough. That was her presentation, and proudly, she has 3 children and 7 grandchildren, and that's a legacy. That's a legacy and a half, and she's from Irmo, South Carolina. Now, to Christopher Play Martin, thank you. I would like you to give your closing wisdom. We are right on time. I like being on time, and time is good. And we don't want people to say, well, Mama G, she just went on for hours, right? No, on time. Sir, can you give us the closing wisdom, please?
I will say 2 quick things. The one that came to mind, and first of all, thank each and every one of you. I'm taking everything you said to heart, and thank you, and I fully agree and concur. In all thy getting, get understanding. I find in situations where things could have went left, that when I embraced that and took the time out to listen to who I'm dealing with or the situation that's going on, and to hopefully find out where it's coming from, because I thought so much of myself that I thought my journey to that particular place of meeting that person or being in that situation, I'm right. But I had to learn and to respect that person or that situation's journey to get there and be able to deal with it in a way that we get something good out of it, no matter how it may make us feel. But last but not least, I heard a speaker not too long ago said something that was really interesting, and I'm probably not going to do justice in how he verbalized it, but basically, we keep saying this word, with all due respect, get back to what's normal, or the new normal, but getting back to what's normal. And he asked the questions to the listeners that, if you're honest with yourself, do you really want to get back to what was normal? And don't you see maybe God or whatever higher source, and I hope it's God, that you see in it coming in a disruptive way? Good change very rarely comes comfortable, but in a way for what is new and what will be better. And to take this time, I think somebody else referred to it too, during this time of the pandemic, it's been frustrating for me in some areas, not as much as others, thank you, Jesus, but it took me the time to really delve into creativity. And Lord knows I've thought about some things. Oh man, I need to go apologize.
He's back.
Right.
All right.
You're on
I
mute, Mama G.
Electrical outing.
just to
Mama
give
G, you're on
everybody a
mute.
chance to reflect and look inside and see what they have inside, what skills they got.
Mama G,
Mama G,
you're on mute.
love you. Oh, you
Is she
found it?
muted?
I apologize, sir. Forgive me for all the electric just went out and it came back. I paid my bill.
All
Right.
the power.
I did pay my bill. I did do that, right? But it came back on. All right. So I'm prayerful that the other I'm quite sure if it was recording, it's still there, but I want to thank everybody. This has been awesome. We have the 7 o'clock, we have panel 2 coming up at 7 o'clock. And this I'm going to try to do with the recording so I can post this. We're going to be prayerful that it is still there and put it in the hands of the creator. Okay. I'm pretty sure it's there because it's
You gonna tag us in all this when you put it up?
absolutely. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm
right
having a good
now.
hair day, and I feel good about this.
That's good. I want to thank everybody. I hope it wasn't too long. We're still, even with the adjustments, it's still on time. All right. So you're all connected. Everybody's connected. Everybody knows everybody. And I'm gonna go ahead and
See you at 7.
Oh, she said,
All right.
Chaplain Highbauer said, excellent, awesome. She just wanted to let everybody know that. Okay.
All right,
All
all right.
Thank you,
right.
guys.
Nice to meet you all.
Peace and blessings. Now
Y'all
I'm
have a
gonna go
good one.
outside and see what's
See you
up.
at 7.
Guys.
See you at 7.
Peace and love.
Okay. Take care. Peace.
Bye-bye now.
Wow.
Bye.